Alright folks, let me start at the beginning last week. Truck would crank, wouldn't fire up. Seemed like it wasn't getting fuel. So, well, let me start. It's been cranking longer than normal for a couple of months, but only once or twice every now and then would I have to crank it more than normal, and it would start. Never left me stranded. I assumed the fuel pump was going out. I got new spark plugs and ignition coils. 2005 4-liter manual transmission, 4-wheel drive. Oil change is good, ignition coils are good, spark plugs are good. All the fluids are fairly new. That's not the problem. So where do I start? So, of course, we're going to check fuses, right? We got fuses. You have this, of course, telling you what it is. Relays, replaced them. Fuses, checked them. Everything looked fine. Let's go over here. That's a resistor for your fuel pump. If that goes out, I don't know exactly what it would do, but I do know that if you unplug it, your fuel pump will run at max RPMs. This resistor is supposed to make it fuel pump run slower when you're, say, idling or some shit like that. Feel free to correct me if I'm getting this wrong, but that's how I understand it. I've been a motorcycle mechanic for a long time, and of course I do side work on vehicles. Never had my 17-year-old 180,000 mile truck leave me stranded, but it finally did. So I started troubleshooting. Everything led to fuel pump. Gotta be the fuel pump. Pulled the bed off because I wanted to clean this up anyway. I'm gonna remove these cross members at some point, build a flatbed for this truck. So I wanted to get in here and take a look anyway. So, dropped the fuel tank, got the URD pump kit, got the old pump out. Now my tank was full of sludge. The bottom of my gas tank in the lowest spot, it did look like the bottom when you drop an oil pan in an old car. It was nasty. I don't know how it was running. It's probably been like that for a long time, but it was running before last week. Replaced that with the URD kit. Put the inline filter, let me show you that. I put the inline filter under here. As per the instructions, I tried to put it to where I could fuel lines here. No leaks. I got this on here to keep dirt off of it because it was bad when I went to take it apart. I had to clean it before I took it apart because I didn't want to get that shit in the lines. Also, if electrical tape gets fuel on it, it'll start to kind of dissolve the stickiness and you'll know you have a fuel leak. If it's a small leak that you won't necessarily notice. So there's that. Also, if you're doing this, I marked a piece of tape here, and on this other side I did the same thing so that I would remember which line went where. So here's the line they give you, heavy duty line. This is where I got the filter up out of the way. It's not rubbing on anything, nothing's gonna touch it, I don't think. So put the tank and the new pump back in, and oh damn it, got that all together. She fired right up. All right, problem solved. So I go to the auto store to get me some this stuff actually works. Watch this. Look at that, it's working. It really does dissolve the rust. I went to get some of that and some other cleaners and things to start cleaning this up and making this old truck last another 17 years, hopefully. I'm at the auto store talking to those guys. They know me in there. I've never had to go in there to try to get my own truck running. And they were like, oh wow, yeah, that sucks, whatever. The damn thing won't start when I go to leave. Same shit. Crank, 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 crank. Nothing. Spray a little starter fluid just to see. It's getting spark. Fires up eventually. After I sat, did nothing, waited 10 minutes, fired up, got me home. Alright, I didn't fix it. I gotta troubleshoot some more. So I crawled under, looking, following wiring harnesses, taking apart every connector, even the ones that have nothing to do with it, underneath the truck. There's some wiring that comes from right about here, comes up underneath. I pulled all these, took a look in there, didn't see anything, it all looked fine. Same here, these fuses under here, these fuses are fine. It's not the fuses, it's not the wiring. I can't figure it out. Somebody here on these forums said it might be the ECU. Your ECU might be effed. Ugh, I hope not, right? So I kept digging around. I said, you know what? Let me pull the intake off, the whole intake. And I'm just rambling and telling you all this because if you get in the same struggle as I was searching on these forums in the internet to try to figure this out, I didn't see anybody post up a video like this of their entire story. So I'm just telling you mine. Hopefully this helps you all out, help somebody out. You got sensors in here, you got vacuum lines, never mind this electrical tape. Shipping issues right now. Auto stores are out. They're out of everything. Shelves are like half empty. So I couldn't get the proper exact part for all these hoses and lines. So I cleaned them up and cut what I could. Some of them were split a little bit. It wasn't enough to look like it was a problem, but here's some big issues that I was seeing. Let me come over here. This. Air shoots through here, right? And this piece, I should have showed you all this while I had it apart. It moves up and down. There's a little in and out thingy from what looks like the air over here. Excuse my terminology. That thing was stuck. It was stuck. I carburetor cleaner sprayed it out. I took this whole intake off. It was bad. It was bad. Now this is the clean side. Now you might be saying, Eddie, you slob, why don't you keep up on your air filter? Well, I do. But guess what? Guess what's going into the clean side of your motor? This hose, right? Now down here, get the flashlight. You got your positive crankcase breather, or we used to call it a breather. There's a PCV, that's valve. That shoots right here. That was full. I mean, there was a 1/4 inch layer of what looked almost like mud. That was from the engine oil, 180,000 miles, 17 years. It does spit a little bit in there. It spit some in there. That built up really bad. That built up really bad. Some of these hoses were split. Now, I don't know if, I bought this truck with low mileage. I don't know if somebody just didn't put clamps on, but I put clamps on where there weren't any before and fixed the split. I know that's jerry-rigged, but again, I didn't want to just buy any hose and make it fit. I'm going to order the proper hoses and replace all these later when shipping gets back around to normal. Right here, throttle body. You probably know what that is. Now, there's no really throttle position sensor that you can replace. It's all a one-piece throttle body. If you don't know, this is electronic. It's fly-by-wire. There's no cable. There's no cable in there. There's no cable going to your gas pedal. It's electronic. So as far as I could tell, I had no engine codes at all this whole time. 0 engine codes. So that's telling me it's something that doesn't have a sensor on it. And I was looking at the wiring diagram, and I'm not the best wiring guy, but I don't know if all of these things that I'm pointing at here, we know what this is, right? I cleaned that up. Like I said, I cleaned everything in here. AutoStore was out of all the sensors and things, so I didn't replace them. Also, if those sensors were bad, I'd have a trouble code on my OBD reader. Again, I had no trouble codes. You got another breather. You got another breather here. Dirty oil. Dirty oil and hot gases and all that is breathing right up into the clean side of your intake. So I cleaned all this up. I cleaned up the entire inside. Degreaser. Got in trouble for coming inside because I wanted to rinse it all with hot water. Not supposed to be using the kitchen sink as a parts washing station. Wife doesn't like that, but whatever. I gotta get the truck running. So here we are, and just again, fuel lines right here. Wasn't a problem. Wasn't any problem. So let's come back inside the cab. She's cranked up and idled. I let her idle long enough because I pulled the battery, so I let it idle long enough for it to settle back down with the RPMs and whatnot. Little history, this has nothing to do with it, but under here's your spiral cable. That allows your steering wheel to rotate, and all the electrical stuff in the steering wheel, cruise control, airbag, this shit, all that stuff, if your spiral cable goes out, that stuff doesn't work. I had that problem 2 months ago. That's actually easy fix. You don't need me for that. There's plenty of videos on replacing that spiral cable. That took about 15 minutes. But I don't think that had anything to do with it. I don't think that had anything at all to do with it. My speedometer, it intermittently also does or does not work. I took it apart, cleaned it out. Dog hair was up under everything in there. I think that it was literally up in there under the needle somehow. I think that killed the speedometer. Again, that shouldn't have anything to do, correct me if I'm wrong, shouldn't have anything to do with the truck not starting and running. All right. Now let's see what she does on camera. There we go. Alright, starts up. The rest of the gauges have always worked, never gave me a problem. Starts up as normal, like it did months ago before it was giving me problems. I'm gonna have to go drive around and tell somebody, I don't know, backup plan if she craps out on me again. I just thought I'd share my story with you. Hopefully this helps somebody out. I will link other videos and other pages that I was reading to try to figure this out, because I did find a lot of people saying it'll crank and it'll crank and it'll crank and it won't start and the truck's dead, and they were troubleshooting and telling everybody else like I am, but some of these folks couldn't get it right again, and that was like the end of the pages. They never told what the fix was. So I'm just documenting this. If she craps out on me, I'll come back on and report that. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you all can fix things yourself, because everything I just did at Toyota, and I did it uncomfortably in the driveway. I don't even have a lift at my house. That'd probably be a $4,000 bill, give or take. It would be a lot. It would be a lot. I've only spent under $500 on everything so far. That's including cans of spray cleaner, the fuel pump kit, everything. So if you can get help from a handy friend, if you're not so handy, try to fix things yourself right now, because I know a lot of us are in a bind monetarily. All right, I've been rambling too long. I'll see you guys around. Thanks.